What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a weekly gaming news show, the podcast where two seasoned video gamers talk about the gaming news for the week. We are your hosts. My name is Trenell, and I'm here as always with the homeboy Todd. What's going on, Todd?
Yo, what's up? Today's the first full week of football. I'm sporting my Giants jersey.
Yeah, I see
got my Giants in the background, and I know I'm in DC, but let's go Giants.
Hey, man, as long as you're on the East Coast, I can understand it. People that live over here and like are Dallas Cowboys fans, it's like, what? I don't understand you. Have you ever been to Texas? I don't get it. But that's just my thing. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not a huge football fan, but I do support the local teams.
There's a ton of Cowboys fans that make no sense.
Yeah,
Born and raised, lived in Virginia their whole lives.
Cowboys.
I love the Cowboys. How?
I don't get it. Before we jump into things, I do want to give a special shout out to 5 special people over on Twitch that are hosting us right now. I want to thank you guys. Repulse 2K, Infinite Inventory, the new Challenger TV Discord, Nessa, who is my girlfriend. Thank you, babe. And Greg. Thank you guys for hosting us over on Twitch. We definitely do appreciate it. Yeah, it's September the 10th. And if you didn't know, yesterday was actually the 18th anniversary of the Sega Dreamcast. You remember that? It came out on 9/9/99.
9/9/99. Yep, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that shit was hot. So yeah, this is the 18th anniversary. Did you have a Dreamcast back in the day?
I had a Dreamcast. I loved my Dreamcast.
Dreamcast was dope. I still have mine. Yeah. It's like sitting in storage or whatever. But yeah,
I don't know what happened to my Dreamcast. Who knows? I know one of them busted.
Mm-hmm.
I had one and it broke, so I went to Best Buy and bought another one, and then I took out the innards of the broken one and put it in the innards of the one I bought and returned it.
Oh dang! Scamming them. Oh, I see you.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think this is probably my third Dreamcast. I had one originally, and then that one broke, and then I bought a second one from GameStop when they were still selling like retro consoles, but that one was like messed up, so then I returned it and got a third one. So this is my third Dreamcast. It's still running fine. I don't have a way to record it. That's why I don't like play it that often.
It uses the composite connections,
the VGA cables. But yeah, it's another Sunday, which means we got a lot of stories that we want to discuss with you guys. But before we get into that, we have some updates and corrections from our previous episodes. So Boogie, why don't you go ahead and take us there?
So last week we talked about PlayStation VR and their so-called price drop. It's still not a price drop to me. That they're just cutting the price. They're throwing in an accessory that you need for the damn thing to work.
Right, yeah.
What I didn't mention, they mentioned that going forward, all of the base PSVRs will be coming with the Sony PlayStation Eye camera, and it's still going to maintain the $399 price. What I didn't mention was all of the current stock, that's the PlayStation VR without the camera, has been dropped $50. So those will be $349. So if you run into a store right now, if you go to Amazon, you'll notice that there's one with a camera, that's $399. There's one without a camera, that's $349. And it may not be different. It may not be anything that immediately let you know that there's what the difference is, but that's the difference. When you see it for $349, you're not getting the camera. It's old stock. The new stock is with the camera for $399.
Okay, yeah. So technically, it's still not a price drop. It's just on that specific SKU, they dropped it $50 because it doesn't include the camera.
Because you got to go spend that $50 to get a camera.
Right. So the new SKU for the PSVR, and I forget what SKU stands for, but it's basically
stock keeping unit.
Yeah, the stock keeping unit. Sorry, I haven't been in retail in a long time, but yeah, that's basically the barcode number that tells like the machine whatever you're buying. They produced a new SKU. The new SKU includes the camera, and that is the one that is the what's it called? 250, right? 350, yeah. So yeah,
and yeah, I know that because when I worked full time at the Best Buy, I was in inventory. I was the inventory
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was not that guy, but yeah, I hated. I became like a third key, which is like an assistant to the assistant manager at GameStop, and I had to do inventory one day. It was the worst. It was the worst.
It was pretty bad because salespeople are unscrupulous. They'll be selling stuff they shouldn't, and I have to tell them they can't sell it.
Right.
You know, they get mad and get the manager at me, and I'll tell the manager to go fuck off too, and that caused problems. But I didn't care.
Yeah. Boogie with the with the unrelenting rage out here.
Oh yeah. Dude, listen, I got into some knockdown and drag outs with some of the managers there trying to come take stuff out of my warehouse they weren't supposed to.
I believe it. All right, so now that we got that done, and let us know if there's anything that you guys catch that we're off on. Let us know in the comments so that we can make that correction.
Right.
We're not about giving out false information or fake news or anything like that. So if we slip up on something, please let us know and we will address it. But with that, we can go ahead and move into our next segment, which is the weekly icebreaker. And this is just a question that we like to ask of each other to get a sense of where we are on certain gaming and sometimes media related topics. And so this week we have the question, what are your thoughts on the Switch tax? And exactly what is that? I'm not familiar with the Switch tax.
The Switch tax it's come up a couple of times now. So the Nintendo Switch doing cartridges now, again, the physical media, the SD cards.
Right.
Some games that are being released on multi-platform that are normally $29.99 or $39.99 are showing up $10 more on a Switch, mainly because of the cost with associated with the producing the cartridge. Yeah, I remember, and I didn't note it, but there was one release that came out that was $10 more, and what they did was they threw in a digital soundtrack for free they were selling online for $10, so they threw that in for free to make up for that Switch tax. But also LA Noire, that's going to be coming out. We'll be talking about that. That's also going to be $10 more on the Switch than any of the other systems.
Oh wow!
So my question to you is, for like re-releases and even new games coming out, do you think that at some point the companies will be taking advantage of that?
I think if Nintendo can get away with increasing the price of games by $10, everybody's going to try to make that jump.
Right. Because
we've been at $60 or $59.99 for a very long time, as just like the standalone product. What has increased a game's price over time has been, the inclusion of pre-order bonuses or DLC and season passes. That is what has gotten games up to like $70, $80, $130 at launch. But if Nintendo can just get away with a $10 increase just because of the cartridge, I mean, and they are being slick about it, giving people giving you stuff like like a digital soundtrack or something like that. That's being really slick about it. But I do think that if Nintendo can get away with it, then other people will just do that instead.
Yeah, my concern is that it's going to come to the other consoles, the PlayStation and Xbox, where
everybody else will just follow suit.
Because the $10 extra for the Nintendo cartridges, it makes tons of sense because it's not a disc; it's basically a flash media card.
Right.
And they're anywhere from 16 to 32 to 64 gigabyte cards. So and those things aren't cheap when you go out to the store to buy them, even if you buy them in mass quantity. And then on top of that, the cards are Nintendo proprietary cards. So I mean, it's a whole bunch of additional manufacturing costs that, of course, they're going to pass on to everybody else. So I understand where it's coming from. When you look at companies, the unscrupulous ones, the ones that are the money grabbers, we're talking about the Activisions and the EAs and those guys, I can see them saying, well, people seem to be okay paying $70 for the Nintendo Switch game. Let's just charge $70 for all the games everywhere, so we can have parity between all systems. And instead of them keeping it at $60, they're going to go to the higher number because why not?
Why not? Yeah, that's my thing. Is like why have only the Nintendo Switch titles, cost that much when we can have all of them cost the same? Right. Why is the Nintendo Switch so special? And besides the fact that they're dealing with flash media.
Right.
But, that's an excellent question, and man, yeah, I'm just worried that everybody else is going to follow suit. We've been at a sweet spot, so to speak, for a while. And I don't know, man.
Yeah, Nintendo, like you said, if they're able to get away with it, the companies are going to pass it along. Now, I don't know if they can use it to dissuade people from buying physical copies, make the physical copies $10 more. More likely, people are going to stop buying physical copies.
Is that not the case? If you buy LA Noire digitally, is it still?
It's the same price. is $10 less digitally.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's
right. So,
regular price for the digital version.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. So if the physical copy is $10 more, is it going to shepherd people into the digital copies going forward? And is that something that where companies, it's a cost for them to produce the case, the manual, the disc, ship the logistics to shipping it to all of the different retailers and all of that stuff, distribution. Right. If they can use the add $10 to the price and move people more and more towards digital, is that something that may be done? I think this opens a huge can of worms that can go many different ways, and none of them seem pretty good. Yeah,
but at the same time, you have to think of the benefits of flash media versus, Blu-ray.
Oh yeah. I mean, access time, size. I mean, you can get right now. You can get flash cards up to 256. I mean, there's is it SanDisk? I think it's SanDisk. They've been testing and they're releasing a terabyte size micro SD card. I mean, it's like almost $1,000, but it's. Eventually the price will come down, of course.
Yeah, of course.
It's new technology. It's a terabyte SD card, and the thing is, the Nintendo Switch can read of 1 terabyte micro SD card, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because right now the biggest available is 256.
Right. Yeah, so very interesting question. We would love to know your thoughts down in the comments section or wherever it is that you are consuming this media. Let us know what you think, because that is definitely an interesting question. Boogie been coming with the bangers in the weekly icebreaker over the last couple of weeks. So that was dope. Let us know what you think. Let's go ahead and move into the next segment, and this is our quick hits. And these are short little stories that we like to discuss with you guys that don't necessarily deserve a deep dive like the top 5 news stories. It's stuff that we want to bring to you, discuss with you, and get your input on, but aren't necessarily all that important in the long run, in our opinion. So our first story deals with more Sonic Mania DRM news. And the news this week is that it's been cracked.
Yeah.
Cracked wide open.
Imagine that. So yeah, the de novo DRM that was packed in with Sonic that everybody hates. I think it was we recorded last Sunday. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when it was cracked. So not even a full week. It was cracked. But that's part of the course, because I did my crack Wikipedia research. So take this for what you take this for what it's worth. There's been 81 games that have come out with de novo DRM. 57 of them have been cracked.
Right.
And of those 57, I think 8 of them, the developers released a patch just to remove it. It's what's the point if it's cracked?
Exactly.
There's 3 new games. There's 3 games coming out that's going to have it on there. I didn't count those, so that's 70% failure rate. So 70% of the games that have the de novo DRM have been cracked. So I don't know why you would continue to be putting that on your title, and generate negative publicity when it's just going to get cracked anyway.
Honestly, that's all that it does these days. I mean, Sonic Mania had what I would call a pretty stellar launch.
Right.
Besides the fact that the PC version had been delayed, but then when you figure out that the PC version is delayed and we have this DRM that we have to deal with, it just makes for negative press on a very positive experience for everybody. So, like we were saying, the DRM is always, it's these days it's always just a bad thing to just implement it. So I don't know why people do it. I mean, you do want to protect against piracy, but at what cost?
Right. I mean, you alienate people, and again, people are going to pirate your game when they want.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen regardless of what you stick in there. So I mean, to do it and whatever.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the next quick hit. What we got?
The next quick hit we have is regarding Pokemon Go. Remember we talked about this earlier in the year. Pokemon Niantic hosted a special event in Chicago that didn't go down very well.
It's a tremendous failure.
Yeah, and they after that they delayed the events they were having in Europe. They did come back and post dates now. The events were supposed to be, I think, in August. Now they're going to be in September and October. On September 16th, so that's next weekend, starting next Saturday, the event will be going live. The Pokemon Go Safari Zone events will be live in Germany, France, and Spain. And then on October 14th, they'll be live in Denmark, the Netherlands, and the Czech Republic. So the Europeans, you're going to get your event and get your special Pokemon. Apparently during this event, there's going to be Pokemon available that aren't normally available in their region.
Right.
And all the other good stuff that's Pokemon Go related.
Yeah, that's essentially like the main thing about the Safari Zone is that it houses a bunch of Pokemon that aren't necessarily like available out in the wild.
Right.
So I mean it's pretty cool that they're implementing that, and it still shocks me to this day how popular that game still is. I mean we don't get stories about it all the time like we were back in the day. But that game is still going strong for a mobile game.
Yep, and then on top of that, they have announced that trading is coming to the game.
Yeah, so now you'll have somebody to trade your 1,000 Pidgeys to. It's like that's literally all I had. Pidgeys and Ratatats or whatever.
Ratatats, yeah. They actually patched that. That was a complaint. I remember them patching that a while ago. But yeah, I mean, if you still play it and you're big into it, you're doing your Pokemon Go raids and gym battles and all that stuff. I mean, the game has come a long way from where it started as.
Exactly,
it's more of a game than it was when they first started, but it still does not interest me in the least of
in
bits.
the slightest. Yeah, I'm done with it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next quick hit. What we got?
Steam. Steam is banned in Malaysia right now.
Banned.
Drop
the ban hammer.
You can't go on to Steam and buy anything. Now, if you have a Steam account and you have games, those games are playable, but you can't go and buy any more. And this is all centered around that game that's called Fight of Gods, where exactly. Apparently, the Malaysian government came out and said, "Hey, look, listen, we don't like this game. Make it not available to our
Malaysian markets."
In the Malaysian market, our citizens, you have 24 hours to comply. Steam did nothing, and they blocked Steam. I mean, the game is nonsense.
The game is stupid, man. The game is stupid. I remember this being announced back in like 2013 or something like that. It's old. It's an old concept or like an old IP. And it even looks old. Like this looks like PlayStation 2. Like OG Xbox graphics at the least,
right?
And like, oh my god, dude, it's basically a bunch of like, different gods from different religions just fighting each other in a
2D fighting game.
Yeah, 2D fighting game, and it's bad. And in this day and age, it's just it seems like it's in bad taste, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe that's it. And the Malaysian government, what did they say? They said something specific. I forgot what they said. But essentially, that if they ask you to, what I don't understand is why would Steam jeopardize money, any money, even if Malaysia is the smallest market they have?
Right.
Why would they jeopardize that market for this game that we'll forget about next week? It makes no sense to me. I mean, if I were Steam, unless they don't have a way to block it specifically, I don't see why they would even risk it for this quote unquote game.
Yeah, I mean, but there's already ways around it. People have there's YouTube tutorials on how to get around it in Malaysia. As we speak. And supposedly, like the Malaysian government, they didn't want to block all of Steam; they just wanted to block the game. But
there was no way for them to.
Yeah, there was no way for them to actually do that, so they had to just block the entire platform.
Yeah.
So again, I don't understand why Steam wouldn't respond. It doesn't make a lot of sense for them to, just cancel out or allow for a market to just be completely written off the books just because of a stupid game that most likely wasn't going to sell. I mean, it'll probably sell more copies there now just because of the controversy. Just
because of this. But I mean, yeah, it's silly that they, like I said, it's silly that they would risk their that market for this game that's It's
bad. It's a bad game, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it looks very stupid in my opinion. I don't. I wouldn't get it. I don't approve of it, and I don't know. I could see where like people could take offense to it. It's like you got Jesus Christ fighting against Buddha and Zeus.
What is that?
So people can take offense to it. It's like especially 2017. Where everything is just
right. Everybody's
offended by everything. It's like you really think you're going to get away with this? I honestly think that if they would have released this game back when they announced it, which I swear to you, it was probably like 2012. It's a long freaking time ago. It would have been better off. I mean, I don't know. I think this game is going to just sell because the controversy is going to sell this game, not the actual like gameplay or anything like that.
It's going to get a quick boost because it's in the news now. People are going to want to see what it's like, but after that, it's not going to last. And like I said, in a week or two, everybody would have forgotten about this game.
Right. So my question is, will the Malaysian government actually like release the ban on the entirety of Steam once this blows over, or are they just convinced that this is not a thing that they want and they're just gonna keep it banned? Like, what do you think?
I'm sure Valve and will sit down with them and come up with some sort of solution.
Yeah, because 24 hours that's not a lot of time to just. That's not a lot of time to do anything.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know. Like,
and this game is not even in the regular Steam store. It's in the early release. Am I right? Yeah, it's an early release game. It's not even full release. So, man,
I don't know. It's a stupid game. I think the Malaysian government is going about this in the absolute wrongest, in the wrong way by blocking it off because it's only going to want people want it that much more.
Right.
And then Steam should respond. They should do something.
When we look at this, and I made a mistake too when I first read the story. I'm like, oh, that's so stupid, blah blah. The Malaysian government is heavy. But when we look at this, we got to remember that the freedom of speech that we have isn't the same everywhere else, right?
They don't have that.
So something like this could be highly illegal, and is possibly why it's being blocked. Yeah, it was so heavy-handed.
And this I don't know. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's just like it's weird that you have all these like deities in it, but there's one that they just did not mess with.
Yeah, Muhammad, he's not.
Yeah,
the prophet.
they didn't mess with Allah or anything like that.
Right, they're gonna get blown up.
Yeah, fuck that. I just thought that was weird.
That's not weird, and it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, because a lot of people thought that Jesus wouldn't appear in the game because of like, Christianity, blah blah blah. But no, they are not messing with.
In today's,
not messing with Allah, dude.
In today's age, right now, Christianity has a bloody history, but right now, definitely. the bloody mess is the Islam right now, and it's not all of Islam, of course. It's the extremists.
Well, yeah, that's what's being perpetuated in the media. Is that they're like the violent religion or whatever? Exactly,
but I mean they're not. It's just like right now, it's just where it's at. Where socially, societally, and socially, where we're at is that Islam is the violent murderers and whatever.
Yeah, so I thought it was weird. But of course, it's not really a coincidence.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely not a coincidence. I'm sure of it.
But yeah, so we'll see what comes of this. If there's anything else that comes out of it, we'll definitely report on it. Yep. This is actually a really interesting story for a very stupid game. So let's go ahead and move on to the next quick hit. What we got?
Keyboard and mouse support on Xbox One. It's still coming. In fact, Mikey Barr, I don't know, is it Ibarra, Ibarra? How do you pronounce his name? I always say Ibarra. Mikey Barr, he had a talk at PAX West, and he mentioned that there's a few games coming up that's going to have keyboard and mouse support. He did also mention that it ultimately be up to the developers how they support it, with Microsoft giving some guidance. The biggest thing, one of the biggest things that came out of that I noticed is that he kind of mentioned that he would like for multiplayer games to separate those communities from keyboard and mouse, especially in first-person shooters, keyboard and mouse versus controller. But again, he said that would be totally up to the developer, and I don't know as a developer if I want to split my
split. Yeah, you're like, why would you want to split your multiplayer base on the same platform? You know, like there's already a split between multiple platforms, and then you have PC, Xbox, PS4, Switch, and then you have two freaking multiplayer bases on Xbox. That doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do. Like you'll instead of having like one moderately sized multiplayer engagement whatever, you'll just have like two very small ones.
Right.
Doesn't seem like the best idea. And in my opinion, like if you want keyboard and mouse, play on the goddamn PC, man. Why is this a thing? Why is this even a thing?
One thing is being able to play with your friends, right? That may not have a PC, but I have another theory, and this, you got to put my tinfoil hat on here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it, but this is more of a preparation to move down the road towards cross-platform, at least with PC, or to play anywhere. So now, Xbox,
it makes sense when you incorporate the play anywhere. So like, okay, if you have a game on PC, you play with keyboard and mouse, you can transfer that. But I don't know, like, besides that, I don't really see why a console needs keyboard and mouse functionality.
People want it. People have been asking for it for years. I mean, they were asking for it on Xbox 360. I mean, that people want it, and mainly because
people want PCs. That's what they want.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't know. I just feel like there's always been like a divide between the consoles and PC.
And like
if you play like if you play keyboard and mouse, you play PC games.
Right.
That was just the thing.
That was it. That was it. WSDA, right?
Right. Yeah. Freaking. I hate it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's being pushed this way by Microsoft. I think it's more along the lines of them implementing cross-platform, not only to play anywhere, but the cross-platform play that they've been promising and pushing out, and we'll talk about that next.
Yeah,
because the next thing is Killer Instinct
right now.
But yeah, Killer Instinct is it was promised for Steam, and Killer Instinct, if you don't know, is a free-to-play game. It's free-to-play. You buy the characters, you buy the packs, you buy the character packs, but you usually get, I think it's like 2 or 3 characters, and they rotate every month that you can play with at no charge. Well, Killer Instinct was announced to be coming to Steam over the summer. Well, over the summer they announced it was coming to Steam. They still don't have a date.
Right now it's an Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive.
Right, you can get it in the Windows 10 store, but you can't get it on Steam
no.
Right. So it's coming to Steam, and when it does come to Steam, it will be cross-platform play. So you'll be able to play from Steam, play against people on Windows 10 machines that got the game out of a Windows store, and Xbox One players. So,
and that right there, that's some big news.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about these Xbox exclusives was that you weren't going to see them on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
But now it doesn't matter. It's on Steam and it's crossplay, so they're not fragmenting the player base.
Exactly, everybody can play with everybody. I mean,
that's amazing.
That keeps the game alive because again, it makes you it gives you a larger player base. I mean, well, Xbox might have sold 10, 15, 20, 30. Let's say 30 million Xbox Ones, right? But there's hundreds of millions of PCs out there, and even at a 1% penetration, that's about you get upwards of 10 million new players into your game, right? And to separate them from everybody else is not advantageous. Whereas in letting them all play together, I mean that's just going to be a nice sized community that's going to be able to support your game. And be able to play with each other and be happy with it.
Right. And I have to say this, man. Killer Instinct has been like the Cinderella story of the fighting game community. I mean, it came out with this awkward like system where you can buy characters individually or whatnot.
Right.
A lot of people weren't having that. It came out on what a lot of people thought was like a shit console. Like a lot of people were hating on the Xbox One.
Right.
And it was an exclusive.
Right.
Like this thing has not only just surpassed everybody's expectations, but it's going to be one of the first games that allows crossplay between two competing PC
system,
platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like that's crazy. It's crazy what Killer Instinct is doing.
And this is what gets me excited. If they can do it with Killer Instinct, they'll be able to do it with other games.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me really excited. That's where I get the my tinfoil keyboard and mouse support for the Xbox is setting up for cross-platform play, because if you're able to play on Xbox One and play cross-platform with Steam players, that's a game changer.
That's a game changer, man.
That is a huge game changer.
And it just cements the fact that, Microsoft is serious about crossplay. And like this is in my opinion just as monumental as a Xbox and PlayStation crossplay thing would be. It's just as monumental.
You can say Steam is its own console or own platform, because Steam is a huge platform. And I mean, remember, they were making hardware. They're Steam boxes. They may not have been popular, but they did make hardware.
Right.
And I mean, Steam is huge. It is hugely popular. People that play for all their goods and bads, people use Steam, and they typically love it. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't find any problem with this. I'm excited about it because I'm just hoping that it's just the beginning.
Right, yeah. Like, hopefully we'll see a lot more games follow down this path. I mean, can you picture Gears of War on Steam and like being playable with Xbox and Windows 10 players?
Yep.
Like that right there is crazy. Because you have people that, don't have Xbox and play on PC, but then they don't have Windows 10. Right. They just have Steam or whatever.
They just have Steam.
Or even if they do, they just don't want Windows 10 Marketplace on the computer. Like I don't like Origin. I don't like those platforms. So like I tend not to buy games that are exclusive to that on PC. I'll get it on console or whatever. But it's like they're allowed, like Xbox is. I feel like the sense that I'm getting is that Xbox is going the route of Sega did like towards the end of their lifespan, when they just allowed for like all of their titles to be like played across all platforms.
Microsoft's done this before, right? When early in the late 80s, early 90s, when personal computers started getting big, Microsoft licensed their stuff to everybody, where Apple kept it to themselves, right? And
exactly, yeah.
That's where you got that huge PC, and that's where they ran away with it. This is reminding me of that, where they say, hey, look, with Microsoft, there's so much other out there. It's hard to differentiate because, everybody gets the games. Why not just make it so anybody can play it on our platform and we can play it on everybody else's platform?
And the thing is, they're still gonna get paid. Like they still get paid. So it's like, why not make everybody happy and still get paid?
Right. Like I said,
Steam being available. Killer Instinct being available on Steam is like Microsoft still getting paid for that.
Right. Exactly. Like I said last week, there's no detriment to allowing cross-platform play.
No,
there's no detriment to that, because if you're Sony, people are buying your PlayStation because they want your exclusives. Microsoft arguably is Xbox Live, right?
And the Xbox Live benefits the free games the 4 free games a month,
right?
The community or whatever. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. And then and for Steam is the destination if you're a PC gamer. You get your games on Steam. So that stuff is not going to change with cross-platform play. It's not going to be all of a sudden I'm a PC gamer, but since now I can play against Xbox and PlayStation players, I'm going to buy an Xbox. No. I'm going to still buy games on my PC. And
exactly.
The same thing would be the same if I was a cow and I'll be playing my PlayStation, or if I was a Xbox Lemon and playing my Xbox. I'm still going to get the games on the platform of my choice. I just get to play with everybody else.
Right. Yeah. The only thing that it does is benefit the player. It benefits the player, and it prolongs the lifespan of the individual titles.
Yeah, it benefits the developer too, because they can the game lasts longer. They can make more money off of it. I mean, you look at GTA 5. I mean, that game.
If that game was crossplay,
that game won't go away. And like you said, if it was crossplay, I mean, you probably never see a GTA game for the rest of our lives.
No.
That would be the last GTA game.
Yeah, that'd be the last one, because it's the only one we'll ever need.
Right.
Oh, but yeah, this is monumental news. And we went a little over on our quick hit time quota, just because of how massive of of a hit this is. You know, and this is you know, a jab right at Sony, man.
Yeah.
Like, you guys better start playing ball, because you are going to get left in the dust. Everybody else is on board,
right?
And we keep talking about that. But yeah, we're gonna leave that there for now. But let us know what you guys think on these quick hits, especially the cross play on Steam and Microsoft Windows 10. Let us know what you guys think about that. Is it as big a deal as I'm making it? I think it is.
I agree. I think it is.
But
a big deal.
I think it's a huge deal. But let us know what you think down in the comment section, or wherever it is that you're consuming this media. We will definitely look forward to what you guys have to say. But we're going to move into our next segment, which is the top 5 news stories for the week. But before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, the homies over at the New Challenger Discord. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Bloop, bloop. Bam! It's not there. What happened?
It's not there.
It's not there. What? There we go. Okay, so head on over to newchallenger.gg to get good at your favorite fighting game. The New Challenger Discord is full of fighting game enthusiasts whose sole purpose is to help you get good at your favorite fighting video game. Currently supporting Street Fighter V, Injustice 2, and Tekken 7, with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Dragon Ball Fighter Z on the horizon. These guys are the best at what they do. Featured in Eurogamer, you know, doing the most to help people get into the fighting game community, and to help them actually get good and have fun. They just wrapped up a tournament for Street Fighter V. This is their 3rd season, and I don't know who won. I didn't catch the grand finals, but they do this every other week. So head on over to newchallenger.gg, join the Discord, and make sure that you follow them on Twitter and on Twitch at New Challenger TV, because other than the bi-weekly tournaments, they do hold like weekly shows over on their Twitch channel, like the beginner breakdown, where they take you know, like fights and videos, and they you know, basically go into detail on, you know, what players are doing right and what they can improve on as well. So that's New Challenger TV over on Twitch and on Twitter. And a big shout out to Mr. Vinegar, who is the founder of the Discord, and big shout out to Mount Lover, who is not only our homie, but he is the premier commentator for the Street Fighter V tournaments, and he's also a moderator for the Discord as well. So the top 5 news stories. Let's go ahead and get into those. Man, we have a lot to talk about with these top 5, and I really can't wait to get into them. Boogie, why don't you start us off, because we've been talking about these guys for a few weeks now.
Yeah, Blizzard?
Yeah.
Every week, Blizzard. Something new with Blizzard.
Yeah, something's new with Blizzard every week. So go ahead and take us there. What we got?
So this week, Blizzard has announced that they are opening an esports centered arena in Los Angeles. It's actually in Burbank, California. This isn't the first one. This is actually the second one. We talked about one that's being opened here around us. Actually, I think it's open this weekend, September 9th.
Oh, right? Wow, really?
Dang. The NRG arena that's being opened here. But yeah, they're opening a.
You have to make a weekly gaming news visit.
Yeah, that's
to that one.
Yeah, so they're in Burbank, California. They're opening a esports arena. The grand opening is going to be an Overwatch tournament. The Overwatch contenders, the playoffs. It's going to be 7th and 8th. So in a month, it'll be the grand opening. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be tailored for esports. They're going to be able to run multiple broadcasts and events out of the arena simultaneously. So I mean, if you look at Blizzard, they got a couple of big esport games. They got Overwatch, and they also have Hearthstone, and what's the other game? They have 3 games, right? StarCraft.
I was about to say StarCraft.
Yeah, so I mean, they have some properties, and my assumption is they'll use it for. I mean, it's in California, so
that's the scene right there.
Right. It's going to attract other tournaments to a place for other tournaments to be attracted to. Considering they have that the streaming deal with Twitch, I mean,
oh yeah, we talked about that a few months ago.
Yep. So I mean, there's a lot going on to where it makes 100%. It makes total sense for Blizzard to have their own arena. It doesn't surprise me that it's in California. Now we have one on the west, we have one on the east. So Chicago needs one and Dallas needs one. So we can get North Central and South Central, and we'll be set to 4 corners, right?
Yep. Yeah. Because we keep saying, man, esports is where the money is, dude.
Yeah.
And everybody is on the same page when they say, "Yo, we about to get this bread.
We about to get this money. Yep.
We about to get this money." Yeah, I really do want to visit the one that opened out here in DC. We're gonna have to make a trip.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been it's actually been a while since we've seen each other in person, so this will be really fun. It'll be really fun to do. So look out for that. That'll be fun. But yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, this isn't surprising, you know. No. And Blizzard have the top streamed titles on Twitch right now. Right. So, you know, anything that, you know, plays out of the arena will be like on the front page of Twitch or whatnot. Right. And then you have newer platforms like Mixer that like this is gonna be monumental for Blizzard. And if they keep it if they don't just keep it within the Blizzard like family of games, like if they actually use the arena to showcase other tournaments, that's just more money for them.
It makes sense that they would,
because then they can charge like the venue fee and all that.
Exactly, because that's what they do with stadiums and such now, right? Football stadium is only good for 8 games, and they have concerts and other stuff that goes on in the stadium. So
can you imagine a concert at an arena built around like, you know, stream it to multiple like platforms? Like you have like all these monitors and, you know, all that'd be dope. That would be dope.
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely want to make that field trip, and yeah, like I can imagine. And then again, we're forgetting about the Overwatch League that's opening here up in North America. So they've got that going on. So yeah, I mean, it's plenty of reasons for them to have this venue. And yeah, esports, the money is there. We'll talk about that a little bit later too.
And Blizzard is after it. They after that cash. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next. That actually could have been a quick hit. We could have switched the Steam in that one, but it's whatever. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And we were just talking about Rockstar and how popular Grand Theft Auto is. But this next story is dealing with another title that they worked on, which is L.A. Noire. You probably haven't heard about this game in a very long time because it was actually released last generation. This was an Xbox 360, Xbox 360 and PS3 game, and it's probably one of the best games that I've ever played. Man, it has to be in my top 10, maybe top 20. But it's an excellent game. It's a detective like action drama type game. And it really did bring in the art of motion capture, because like they used like some sophisticated system that just captured these faces in like a way that we hadn't seen before. Right,
and that was like a key tenet in the gameplay is reading people's facial expressions.
Right, because you're a detective. Well, the news that's coming out this week is that this game will be re-released for current gen systems. And what's really interesting, and we mentioned it earlier, is that it's actually coming out for the Switch, the Nintendo Switch, which is super surprising in my opinion.
I don't think so. The reason I don't think it is that surprising is because it's such an old game, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It's using last generation tech. So I mean, even to moving from 360, the Nintendo Switch is definitely more powerful than 360 and PS3. Yeah, right. We can agree on that. So just it's a slight bump from there, and then the next, so it's like a step. It'd be like from 360, then it goes from 360 PS3 to the Switch to the PlayStation, Xbox to the Pro systems. Yeah. So I think it's. It makes sense. I don't.
Well, I wasn't talking about like as far as like it's like graphical like fidelity or anything like that. My thing was that, you know, it's like a more mature game. It's a Rockstar game,
right?
So that was the shocking aspect of it. That's what I was referring to. But it's going to be coming out on November 11th, and it's 14th? Actually 14th. Sorry, November the 14th, and it's going to feature VR. It's going to have a VR function for the
No, it's actually what they're releasing for VR. It's going to be on the HTC
the
Vive
Vive,
only so far. It's going to be certain missions, so it's not the full game
it's not the full
in VR.
game.
Yeah, it's going to be select missions that they tailor to VR for the HTC Vive only. So all of you PSVR players or Oculus Rift, you're not included.
You're not invited.
It's just It's just the HTC VR, HTC Vive. That's going to be getting a version of LA Noire
that has like specific missions tailored towards it. Okay.
Right. It's tailored to VR, exactly.
Okay.
And there is going to be full 1080p on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and there will be 4K visuals on Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro. When you say
but it's 4K visuals, what does that mean?
Okay, so this is marketing speak. So if you look at any of the PlayStation 4 games, PlayStation 4 Pro games, they say 4K visuals because it's not native 4K. They're usually less than it. They're usually, I think, like Horizon Zero Dawn is like 1600 instead of 2160, right? Okay. The vertical line count, and then they use tricks to render it up to 4K. So it's not native 4K, but the visuals are better than what they would be in 1080. So
that blast processing though.
Right. So whenever you see it, you'll see that a lot now. I've been noticing a lot, since I got the Pro, I should say. So it's been almost a year now, but I noticed that it'll say you see something that says native 4K, and then you see 4K visuals. 4K when you see 4K visuals is not native 4K, is less than 2160, and they're using stuff, and mainly they're using what they call checkerboarding to get it up to 4K, And that's what it looks like they're going to be doing here, but it will run natively 1080p on both the Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Yeah, and LA Noire was a beautiful game when it came out on last gen consoles as well.
Right.
Have you ever played it?
I did. It's one of the games I wanted to play. I never got to.
It's really good.
It's something I'm probably going to pick up, especially like you said, because when it came out, that's all they talked about is how pretty, how good looking the game was, and that again 6 years ago, right? 2011.
And if there's anything about gaming that Boogie likes, it's
the pretty.
It's the pretty.
I like the pretty. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's actually a really good game too, and one that isn't necessarily like tailored towards like like intense action or whatever. They have like action sequences, but it's more about being a detective. So it's a really good gateway game, like into like playing like these sandbox type games. Like I got my girlfriend to play it, and like from there she was able to like transition into stuff like like Far Cry and Grand Theft Auto,
right?
Because it doesn't really punish you for like running over people. Like you get to like actually drive without being penalized for like not knowing how to drive. It's a really good game. Yeah. So yeah, definitely pick it up if you haven't done so already. I won't be getting the definitive edition or whatever they want to call it. I'm not going to be getting it because I currently own it on my
Xbox,
my 360, and I'm actually curious if they're going to make the 360 one backwards compatible when this one comes out.
Maybe, I don't know. That's a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And it's, they'll let you play your old game with the old and still have the new one available for people that want to upgrade it, the updated graphics.
Yeah, because they've done that before. They have like a what's that stupid open world game that was Sleeping Dogs.
Oh,
when it came out with Sleeping Dogs, the definitive edition,
they made the backwards compatibility. It was like a couple of months later, right? Because they put it on free games with gold at some point.
Right. Yeah, so that'd be cool. That'd be cool if they did that.
And the nice thing is when they do release it, it's not releasing at full price. It's releasing at $39.99.
Oh, Rockstar, you saints!
And then it's $49.99 on the Switch. We talked about this with the Switch tax. If you buy the physical cartridge, if you buy the digital version on the Nintendo eShop, it's $39.99. And
this is how you do a re-release, man.
Yeah,
this is how you do it.
Yep. You don't need $60.
Yeah, no $60.
Doesn't necessarily need to be $60. And that's one of the reasons I'm more likely to pick it up. Because if they told me $60, I was like nah. Out the gate, no. But for $40, it's something.
Because like right now, I think this is like a $30 game on the web on the Rockstar website.
Yep, it is.
Get this for like $30, which means if you find it used at GameStop, it's probably even cheaper.
Like $10.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's GameStop, and this news came out, so they're probably selling it for $40 now.
Try to line them pockets while they still
Yeah,
can.
while they still can, yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next story. What we got?
Okay, we got some more Blizzard news. Well, this one is specifically Overwatch. So as we've been talking about ad nauseum for probably like the past 9 months, Overwatch is launching their own professional league, the Overwatch League.
Yep.
And we also mentioned, I think this was over sometime spring, towards the end of spring, beginning of summer, that they've come out with details of how they're going to pay their players. They get minimum $50,000 a year. They get full benefits. When I say full benefits, you're talking about retirement, your 401k, your health, your dental plans, and all that other good stuff, right?
Ridiculous.
So there is a player by the name of Jay Sinatra One. All you Overwatch fans out there, you guys probably know who he is. He's a 17-year-old kid, and he signed a $150,000 per year contract to play Overwatch for Team NRG. That's right, $150,000 per year, 3 times the minimum salary of the Overwatch League players. He's 17 years old, so what's funny is his mom had to actually sign the contract because in the United States, for you to sign any kind of legal binding contract, you have to be 18 years old.
Over 18, yeah.
And if you're not over 18 years old, you have to have a parent or guardian to sign for consent. Exactly. So yeah, the money is in esports, $150,000 a year.
No, if I was 17 years old, man, good Lord.
I wonder.
I'd drop out of school, man. I'm like, yo, we about to get this paper, dude.
I
wonder he hasn't even graduated from high school at 17.
No. I wonder what his mom was saying about that. Because at first, mom was like, get off the game, go study, do some homework. You're never going to make anything of yourself by playing games. Well, he could say, hey, mom, I'm making $150,000 a year. How about you?
Right. How about you? How much do you make a year, mom?
Exactly.
Get that crap out of here.
What's really cool about it, if you think about it, I don't know what the schedule is, but I can imagine you'll still be able to go to school. Like if you decided you wanted to go to college, he'll be able to go to college and still make.
Sure, he can hire a private tutor and just like go on tour or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing how fast this is progressing as far as professional. Because I mean, 150,000. Let me tell you something. Let's put that in perspective. WNBA players, there's many WNBA players that don't make 100. I think the average salary in WNBA is like $55,000 to $75,000 a year. I mean, there's many players that don't make $150,000 a year that play professional basketball, and the WNBA is what, 20 years old now. So I mean,
they did just get the entire WNBA in the NBA video game. So right. I mean, let's put things into perspective a bit. The WNBA isn't the most like well-respected league, right. Like
I'm
professionals.
Just saying, like it's
no, but it is jarring. Yeah, no, I get you.
I mean, yeah, I mean, good gracious, it took them 20 years, and not even a match has been played yet in the Overwatch League, and they got $150,000 a year player. I can imagine there's going to be other top players that's making that money or close to it,
or more.
Right. The reason is this. He was able to get this. There were 2 teams bidding. It was Cloud9 was bidding for him, and then Team NRG, okay. which means he's going to be a local player if you think about it, because that's going to be, well, at least the arena being open here is being paid for by NRG or partly paid for by NRG. So, wow,
yeah,
good for him. I'm interested to see. I'm going to watch a couple once the Overwatch League starts. I'm going to watch to see how it goes. I'm still not convinced of Overwatch as a viable long-term professional game, just because Hanzo can one-shot you in your foot.
Hanzo in the foot kills, man.
I mean, it's nonsense, but that type of thing needs to be taken out, but we'll see. It's interesting. I mean, obviously the professionals know how to deal with nonsense like that, or they just get over it. I just can't get over it.
Nah, I understand it 100%. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And this is, we're taking it back, man, because we haven't talked about this in a very long time. CSGO Lotto. CSGO Lotto. We haven't talked about this in a very long time. The last time that we even spoke about it was when the guys were being charged,
right?
With like racketeering and scamming and all types of mess.
Right.
But this week we are bringing them back up. They're back in the news because they have gotten off scot-free.
Yeah, they got a slap
on the wrist, dude.
Nah, Johnny, you don't go doing that anymore. That's what they got.
It's pretty crazy, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that wanted these guys to have the book thrown at them, but it seems like going forward, as long as they just make sure that they put the information there that this is this, they own it or whatever, as long as they provide the information that they were purposely not providing before, they'll be okay.
They'll be okay, right? Going forward. So
yeah.
Typically, this is the FTC. Typically, what they do is, okay, we caught you. We're not going to do anything, but if we catch you doing this again, we're going to drop the whole prison on your face.
Right.
That's typically the way it goes. You get off with a warning this time. The next time, you're not going to get off with a warning. I think what they did was egregious because they profited from it.
Yeah, they profited from it, and this was intentional. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the videos and footage, they were advertising this as if it was not their owned product,
right?
Like you could just look at some of the still images and you could see like him acting as if he's like shocked that he won on a system that he built.
And yeah, that's made for him to win.
That's made for him to win, and that he is directly profiting from. Right. And when he's in his vlogs or whatever, and he's saying like, "Hey, there's this thing that I found, and that they're sponsoring me."
Right.
Like, not I own this.
Right.
It just goes to say like this. I don't know, man. I really would have liked to have the book thrown at him just to make an example out of these guys.
But they got away with it.
And T. Martin and what's the other guy's name?
T. Martin and the other dude is, hold on, I have it here. The other guy's name is T. Martin and Syndicate Thomas Cassell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is whatever. I mean, they FTC also sent out notices to 20 other social media influencers, letting them know that they're under the watch. Basically, they say you need to follow these rules too. Yeah. My guess is that these guys pleaded ignorance. Like they just, I didn't know. They pleaded ignorance, like, and they got off with it. I don't agree with it.
No, me neither.
But
it was deliberate, man. It was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Without question.
It's no way that they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew it's horrible. It's a horrible precedent to set.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my thing. It's like, okay, we could get away with stuff like this. Well, probably not anymore, but we got away with something like this. Yeah. And
so the next thing they can is, as long as there's something different, maybe they can get away with it again, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I would say no. I don't have anything good to say, so I'm not going to say anything at all.
I really don't have anything good to say about this. I mean, this was a chance to, put the hammer down on some pretty, scummy people,
right?
But instead they just got a slap on the wrist. So,
right, it's disappointing.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, geez, dude, how much money did these guys make off of that?
Tons.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the at the progression of their blogs, you can tell they were raking in the dose.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's a thing that's going on that I've been thinking like inside my head is just like people are just being rewarded for being scummy.
Bad behavior. I mean that's the American way, right? Companies get away with it too.
I guess so. All right, so we're going to move on to the last story, and this was actually pretty interesting, and it was brought to my attention by our good friend Mount Lover, and that is VentureBeat journalist Dean Takahashi. Sorry, I just butchered that. Okay, so have you ever heard of VentureBeat before?
Oh yeah, I've heard of VentureBeat. Okay. Their business. They do. They are a business media group. They cover mainly business stories.
Okay, so you've actually heard of them. I had never heard of them before this story, and I had definitely not heard of the journalist Dean before this video. But this blew up over the internet over the last week because of a video that was posted to both their website and to YouTube that showed Dean playing Cuphead at PAX. That just closed up not too long ago.
Right.
So I don't want to say too much And I don't want to show too much of it either, because I don't want to get freaking like copyright like noticed or whatever from YouTube. But I just want you guys to just look at like the first few seconds of this video and tell me what you think. Okay, so we're just gonna let this play. So this is the tutorial, and I want a little bit of volume here. So this is the tutorial. Now, I think I could have done this when I was 5 years old, maybe even younger. This guy is a video game journalist, and he is incapable of making one of the simplest platforming moves. and it's disappointing to the point where it's triggering. You know, as someone who enjoys I enjoy platform games. Right. So this is actually quite triggering, in my opinion.
Yeah.
At one point, the character Cuphead actually stops moving. It's my assumption that he left the controller and went to go seek help because he could not figure this out.
And the video's playing. I'm watching it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's telling you what to do right on the screen. Exactly. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's baffling. It's really baffling. I'm going to let him off the hook and say he was drunk.
No, I'm not letting this guy off the hook. I mean, because there were statements made, and I have a few of them here. One of them was a comment on the or a response to a comment on the YouTube video itself, and then there was an AMA on Reddit where one of Dean's co-workers made a statement about it. So supposedly this guy was the only one available to play and showcase Cuphead at the time. So they made him play it knowing that he was just like terrible at platforming games. But this is beyond just being terrible. This is beyond being terrible at platforming games. I don't know what kind of video game you can possibly play if you are this bad at a tutorial. It's like, what games does he play as a video game journalist?
Tap games. Is he? I don't know. This is mind-boggling that he can't get through the tutorial. I mean,
he eventually gets through it, but then like the rest of the video is just as bad.
It's worse. Yeah. It gets worse because he actually has to deal with
enemies.
He actually has to deal with the game, and when he has to deal with the game, it definitely doesn't get any better. It's mind-boggling. As I guess, I mean, if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. Platformers, but even so, if you've played any video game, those basic controls are paramount to most any video game platform or not. So I don't understand. I mean, my only guess, if he's a video game journalist, I don't think he is. I think what happens is, cause like I said, VentureBeat, they are a business. They cover business. They're a news organization that typically covers business. They ventured into some tech news and gaming to expand, but they typically deal with the stock market and what they normally would talk about would be what you call startups.
Okay.
Startups and startup investments and that type of stuff. So they've been brought in trying to become more of a complete news organization. And my guess is that this guy probably told his boss, do you play games? Like, oh yeah, I played games a long time ago when I was a kid. He's like, okay, we're gonna send you the pack so you can go cover this game, and this is what happens. I can't imagine this guy goes home and plays games even once a week or every day or any time. I don't think so. I think if he's playing game, he's playing something like Pokemon Go or Clash of Clans on his phone.
something turn-based that doesn't require any kind of like response time, because like this guy could not jump and then dash.
No.
And then like you can, if we were to watch the video further, he could not jump and shoot.
Nope.
He could not dodge. He
couldn't double jump.
I don't know. And like in his analysis or his like preview of the build that he played, he said that the game was harder than your average Mario game. But it's like
it's not.
He couldn't beat World 1-1
playing
like that. I don't like. I don't know. It's like Goombas or would give this guy trouble if he were to play it, and it's like how can I don't know. And he classifies him. He was classified as a video game journalist. Apparently, he broke a super important story. I have it detailed here. The story that he broke. Let me find it. Give me a sec. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, so I mean, needless to say, like he's pretty, supposedly he's pretty big in the the gaming journalist community or whatever.
Yeah, being a journalist and being a gamer are two different things. Because he can be the best journalist in the world. He's very good at being a journalist. He just sucks at playing video games, and that's I mean, we can transition to
long form. Okay, he was the one who broke the Blizzard's Titan. That Blizzard's Titan was canceled. I don't know, some game that was canceled.
Oh yeah, that was actually I know what that is.
Okay,
it was something they were working on, and is actually where they got some of the story and some of the inspiration for Overwatch from.
Okay,
it was supposed to be a new game called Titan. They canceled it, and apparently they took some features. They took some. They don't say what, but some of what Titan is in Overwatch.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because it's first-person shooter, maybe it's the characters, maybe it's the world. I'm not sure.
Right.
But yeah.
But apparently, this guy was the one that broke that story, and he's bad at games.
Very.
So yeah, like you said, that's gonna segue directly into our long form, which is our next segment, and we want to ask the question: should gaming journalists, people classified as gaming journalists, should they be good at games? Like I feel like that should go without saying. It's like you're not a car salesman if you've never driven a car before.
Right. And yeah, and you look at it, and I'm going to go with a sports analogy. If you look at some of the sports, if you look at ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and NBC, you'll notice that a lot of those sports shows have former players. TNT, when you look at Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kenny Smith. On ESPN, the Monday night, for a long time, Tom Jackson, former Denver Broncos, and they had Mike Ditka, and right now they got Charles Woodson and Randy Moss. All those former players, because they not only are apparently they are able to do journalism, they're able to be journalists and intelligently talk about the sport. They have that experience of
they could just give their recollection of their own personal experience. Yeah,
you're limited if you're going to talk about something you never experienced it. Even like if you look at some of these guys where they were former coaches, or even some of them were just former, like Stephen A. Smith. I can't stand him. I hate him to death. He's Screaming A. Smith. But if you didn't know, he played college basketball for 4 years. He was actually a pretty good college player. He just didn't make it out of college. Didn't make it to the next level. But I mean, he has that experience of being an athlete to understand what goes on in the locker room, what goes on in some athletes' minds, to intelligently talk about it. And not all of them have to, because if you look at some other people like, what's his name? Chris Berman, who retired last year, or like Morton Anderson or Adam Schefter, some of those other guys who who never played the sport, but they've been around it enough to know and be able to talk about it. My guess is if you gave them the chance, they can actually do the basic. They'd be able to throw a football, catch a football, shoot a basketball,
shoot a free throw.
Right. This guy seemed not to be able to do what is my equivalent of shooting a free throw by going through this tutorial. And I think that's
bad, man.
That's pretty poor. Yeah. I mean, that what that tells me is that your organization doesn't, even though you may be covering video games, you still don't take it seriously.
Yeah, you don't take it seriously. This is just a means to an end. You're covering stories that are going to get traction and get clicks and views or whatnot. but it's not necessarily something that you're particularly interested in.
Exactly.
So, and in my opinion, that just sets a bad precedent, because it's like we have people, you know, this guy may do like reviews or whatever. It's like, how can you take his perception, like if you go into his review of the build, like when he goes back and says, oh, this game is, you know, harder than your average Mario game, but it's like, how would you know? Like, honestly.
Average Mario game from when? From 1991?
Right. He doesn't even go into detail about that, because it's like, right, Mario has, you know, different play styles. You have the 2D series, you have, you know, the 3D series, you have, you know, spin-off games. Like, what is he even talking about? How can you take his word seriously when he doesn't know how to double jump?
Right, exactly. And that's your point. The point you're making is exactly that, is that how he's not credible. How can he be credible?
How can you be credible when you don't know what the hell you're doing?
Exactly. There's zero credibility. And yeah, maybe he broke the story on the Titan project. And he, like I said, you can be a great journalist, but if you're going to talk about game, if you're going to be a journalist, a video game journalist, and you're breaking stories about game development, you know, companies merging, companies going out of business, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But if you're gonna come to me and say, well, this is the game, I played it,
right, this is my opinion of a video game,
right, it doesn't mean, your opinion means nothing, because you don't know how to play the game. So I cannot, a person that plays games and knows what they're doing, take anything you say to heart.
Right, like somebody like me, like, you know, I am a platform game connoisseur. Like I could not take this guy's word seriously for, you know, here on out about anything because of what I saw and you know, what he said based on the display that he did. And apparently this was like a joke, this was a gag, you know, a goof. You know, they were trying to, like, you know, put him in a situation that they knew that he would not excel in. Right. But this is just terrible. This is terrible, and I'm actually kind of glad that it you know, got as much traction as it did, because like it just begs the question, is like, are the people behind all of these reviews, you know, and reviews, they hold like a pretty high like they're pretty important in the industry these days. We just saw what can happen when you get a bunch of negative reviews. A bunch of bad. Mass Effect
Andromeda. The same. Remember the direct, was he one of the game developers, the lead developer, director, whatever. Mm-hmm. He came out and said he thought Mass Effect got a bad deal with the
they was scrutinized a little too much,
right, because of, and this is the type of thing that can happen. It can cost
it can make or break your game.
Cost development studio tons of money,
right?
Cause them to go out of business. And if you got people that really don't know what they're talking about, not necessarily not know what they're talking about, but don't know what they're doing, so because they're struggling, because they don't know how to play it and they're having a bad experience, they take it out on the game instead of looking inward and saying, well, why am I having this horrible experience? Am I having this horrible experience because the game is designed bad, or am I having this horrible experience because I just can't do it?
Right. Yeah, and there's been tons of games that have gotten, you know, a bunch of like negative press back in the day, but have gone on to be cult classics once people actually got their hands on them. Like the game that comes to mind was I think it was a GameCube launch title, the Luigi's Mansion game.
Oh yeah, Luigi's Mansion.
A lot of people hated on that. I remember that, you know, because I got a GameCube at launch. I remember that being like a fairly disliked game when it came out, just because it wasn't the traditional Mario game. Right. But Luigi's Mansion is a cult classic. You know, it's had a sequel. They actually have a arcade machine in Dave and Buster's based on Luigi's Mansion. It's actually really fun. But it's like who played and reviewed that game back then that just, like, you know, created or cemented the idea that this is not a good game? Right. Who did that back then? Was it somebody that was, you know, that went in expecting to, you know, jump on some Goombas and didn't get that, so okay, it's bad, or, you know, or what? Yeah, like, we never really know.
Right. When you look at reviews, I see this a lot. People go into reviews with their own bias, right? You know, they'll pick up a game and like, well, they thought it was going to be one thing and it's not what they thought, so they just give it a crushing review. Where instead of giving a review on the merits of the game itself, okay, so it's not the shooter I thought it was, but is this game still fun?
Right.
Well, yes, or no. But I mean, I see that a lot with reviews, and to be quite honest, me personally, I don't really deal with reviews just because of that reason, because there's people have their own biases, and a lot of times their bias doesn't match. I mean, their opinions don't match up with mine. So I look at what they're saying, I'm like, yeah, what you said is nonsense because of whatever reason. I don't know why you have a axe to grind against this particular game, but whatever. I think is very important, especially when reviewing, that the people playing the games are able to play the game. Because when they have a bad experience, just because they don't have the ability, they don't have the skill, they don't understand what they're playing, that review comes out negative, and it may be unwarranted. Most times it probably is unwarranted.
Yeah, and this game isn't even out yet. Cuphead has yet to release. This was a preview of the build at PAX that was on display.
I think Cuphead is 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Cuphead. It looks like a pretty fun game. But geez, all right. So let's get back to the question at hand. Should journalists be good at games? Like, what do you think? Should they have a basic understanding of gaming from a player's perspective if they're going to give their opinion on it?
If they're giving opinions, absolutely. If they're just if you're a journalist and you're just reporting the facts of a story, just plain facts, I don't see where it's necessary. Like if you're reporting a story saying, "Hey, Blizzard, Activision is now going to buy such and such a studio," and they're reporting on that facts, or they're listening in on an earnings call and they're reporting all the facts off the earnings call. I don't care if you know how to play a video game or not, because you're just reporting facts.
Okay.
But when you get into a game and you're reporting on the game and you're reporting your experience on the game, how you think a game plays, how you think it feels, what you think is good, what you think is bad. If you don't know how to play that game or that genre, if you're a sports game player, all you play is Madden and NBA, and you jump in and play Cuphead and you destroy Cuphead because you can't play it, that's no good. You can't. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't be able to do something. You shouldn't do stuff like that. That's where I stand on it. I mean, you have to know the item or you're covering. You have to know what you're covering. If you don't know what you're covering, through firsthand experience, don't cover it.
Yeah, I agree with that. You shouldn't cover things that you have no idea, what it is, or like this guy. The basic like hand-eye coordination is just like was not there. Like I don't, and it just begs the question: as a game journalist, what games does this guy play on in his free time? What other games has he reviewed? Either negatively or positively based off of like what I'm seeing as his, skill level.
Right. I just don't think he plays games, and apparently this isn't the first time that he's embarrassed himself trying to play a game. I just don't believe that he's a gamer. I think he's just a journalist that got the game beat.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad precedent, because this, again, for VentureBeat, as a gamer, you're not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Many other gamers. Why are we going to go to VentureBeat to listen to gaming news from somebody that doesn't play games?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to do that.
Yeah. So all I can say is that I'm actually glad that this came out. I'm glad that it blew up. From the impression that I got when they released it, it was as to like just show like, oh, this is funny. This guy is bad at this game. But seeing what his job title is and what he was at PAX to do,
because he's the lead, right? He is the lead journalist for VentureBeat, GameBeat. I think they call it GamesBeat or whatever they call it.
Yeah, that division of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, what started off as maybe like a little gaffe or a goof, ended up in cementing the idea in my head that they may not be as credible as as other places.
As other places, yeah, exactly.
You know, at least when it comes down to like, you know, news stories and, you know, coverage of individual titles.
Right.
Because that was embarrassing. And you know, and he does state that in his review or her preview or whatever. He does say that, you know, it was embarrassing. But another point that he brought up was that, okay, he's like, should I have, you know, practiced, you know, for 30 minutes and, you know, gotten better at it, you know, just to.
But that defeats the point, because this is my point. Your point is, it's the tutorial. It's very basic. It's
How long did it take him to get through that part?
It's not as if he was like playing some advanced level or anything. It's the very basic tutorial that a child should be able to do easily. Yeah. And he spent so much time in it, and it was hilariously awful, and yeah. it got to the point where it became painful, yeah, to watch. So it's to say, oh, maybe I should have practiced, and you shouldn't have to practice. To say maybe you shouldn't have to practice for a tutorial. They're telling you what to do. The words are right there on the screen.
It was written on the screen, my boy.
Black and white, not even any crazy font.
Right. Yeah. So easily should have easily been taken care of within a few seconds. That tutorial should not have taken what is it, like 3-4 minutes? Yeah. That was painful. That was painful to watch.
Very, very much so.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think. Should gaming journalists, when it comes to, like, you know, making content or not making content, but like actually giving their opinions on individual titles, should they be gamers? You know, should they be gamers in order to give their opinions on like individual games? Let us know what you think down in the comment section or wherever it is that you are consuming this media. We would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Because, you know, there's like I said before, there's like, you know, different like arguments on both sides, right? You know, especially when he brought up the fact that, you know, a lot of people, they practice for like, you know, hours, and that's then you know, that was the point that he brought up, is well, I could have just, you know, played the game for like, you know, 30 minutes and gotten better, and then, you know, showcased that footage. But he, you know, his thing is that he wanted to give his initial impression of the game. I think his initial gameplay, like presentation, was like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It was the worst. It was the worst.
Yeah, I think that
I have done more difficult gaming like feats as a child.
Yeah, that explanation he gave about him maybe he should have practiced. That's a cop out. It's nonsense. Yeah. It's 100% nonsense.
He's bad.
Yeah, if you're playing the game and it's the tutorial, it's the tutorial, it's the beginning. Mm-hmm. If you have to practice a tutorial, you probably shouldn't be playing games.
And he probably shouldn't be you know, writing stories on them. Yeah,
right. At least you shouldn't be streaming or showcasing games. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's no way. If you're telling me that you need 30 minutes of practice before you go through a tutorial,
just GG's, my boy.
Move along.
Yeah, so that was our long form discussion. Let us know what you think. We are on Twitter and Facebook. Let us know. This God, that was terrible. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is going to be our final thoughts. Yeah, final thoughts is the next. Thoughts. I'm like, what's the next segment? Okay, final thoughts. This is where we go back and revisit the stories for the day, and I give our final 2 cents on each of them. Boogie, why don't you go ahead and start us off? What are your final thoughts for today?
Yeah, developers stop using the Nouveau as a DRM for any PC game, because not only does it give you negative press for your potential buyers, it doesn't work. It's useless. I mean, it gets broken quickly. So the whole purpose for you putting it on your game, all you're getting is the negative press. You're not even getting the benefit of a protected game. Pokemon Go European vets, hopefully they do better than Chicago. Steam blocked in Malaysia. Actually, our good friend Mount Lover has noted that the block has been lifted because the game developer has agreed to geo-block the game. Okay. So people in Malaysia will be able to
log into Steam.
All right. Thank you, Mount Lover.
Thank you, Mount Lover. You saved us a correction next week.
Keyboard and mouse to Xbox One. I believe that is another step towards cross-platform play. The Steam version being cross-platform play compatible with Xbox One and Windows 10. Windows 10 is not the big deal. The Xbox being able to play against Xbox One players is a huge deal, like you've said.
Yep.
Blizzard opening an esports arena. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they've got the Overwatch League. They have established esports titles. It's the next step in the esports evolution, right?
Yep.
LA Noire coming to the current gen consoles. It's a game I've wanted to play. I just never got around to it. I'm going to add that to my list of backlog.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, I will definitely be getting it. Probably on the Xbox One. Because by the time that comes out, I have my X, and I'll be able to play in 4K visuals.
4K visuals.
What's his name? Juan, the 4K, the 4K, the
way more than that.
no. Oh gosh, what is his name? Jay Sinatra Juan. Congratulations on signing your contract. I'm only looking forward to seeing. There's going to be many more of these type of contracts down the road. I'm interested to see how fast the salaries grow because, like I said, the WNBA has been around for 20 years and their salaries haven't grown that fast.
That's yeah, that's pretty wild.
The YouTubers and the CSGO lottery controversy, I think they should have shut the CSGO lotto down completely and fined them heavily, but they got a slap on the wrist. That's the American way, I guess. And yeah, Dean Takahashi, call me. We'll set up a co-stream on Mixer and I'll show you how to play games.
Yes. Yes. As for me, yeah, I agree on the DRM. Like just don't do it. I honestly didn't see the point in it anyway. I mean, you have to expect that your game is going to be pirated in some capacity. So, just doing this, it's just giving away like negative. It's just negative press. Yeah. That's all that it is. Pokemon Go in Europe, like you said, hopefully it goes better than Chicago. Otherwise, people will just get free legendaries, which is also good, I guess. Yes, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mount Lover, for the update on the Malaysia incident. That God's fighting game, that thing is terrible. Don't buy it. I actually feel kind of like bad talking about it because it's like this is what creates the buzz around it. This is what is gonna make people buy it. Just don't, man. It's bad. It's bad and it's distasteful in my opinion. And like I'm not even like a super like religious dude or whatever. It doesn't necessarily offend me, but right. it's just distasteful.
It's in bad taste. Yeah,
it's in bad taste. Yeah. Keyboard mouse for Xbox One. Yeah, just future proof, man. That's all the Xbox is doing right now. They don't have the titles, but they are future proofing their platform and making it so when they do have games, you'll be able to play it anywhere with anyone. Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool thing. Really excited, with the Steam version of Killer Instinct being multi-platform with Windows 10. It's just more future proofing over on the Microsoft side. Sony, you better start acting right because you're gonna get left in the dust, my boys. A Blizzard in the esports arena, it just makes sense. We're probably gonna see more of these popping up around the country, like you said. We just need a one up in Chicago and one down in Texas, and then we got everywhere in the world. Everybody will be able to go somewhere.
Yep.
So that's actually really cool. LA Noire, excellent game. If you haven't played it, if by this point you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're not, one for 4K, it's available on the cheap. So I would just get it, just to have it now. It's an excellent game. But if you want, the enhanced version, November the 14th, you can go ahead and get that. I recommend it 100%. 150K for playing games? I don't know, man.
And a $25 million franchise fee. They got money.
Yeah, they got money and they spending it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Really don't agree with what happened with the CSGO Lotto controversy. I really think that there should have been some kind of punishment for their deliberate actions, but I don't know. I guess the next guys that get caught up with this won't have it so easy.
No, definitely not.
And Dean, just stay away from the controllers, man. I think he learned a valuable lesson. He'll most likely stay away from being recorded, having his gameplay recorded. He'll most likely stay away from that for the remainder of his time over at VentureBeat. And I agree. I agree with that 100%. Stay away, my boy. Just don't. Oh God.
That's it.
No, what's it called? Mount Lover just posted a video.
Dean Takahashi versus a pigeon.
And it's like a pigeon reacted to a similar situation faster than he's able to get over the platform. Oh God, Mount Lover, you are a god among men. Thank you so much for that. Oh my God, you're the best. Yeah, so that was my final thoughts. Let us know what you guys think. We're on Twitter at AWGamingNS. We're on Facebook, a weekly gaming news show, or you can just look us up by our call letters, AWGNS, or also on YouTube, tinyurl.com/AWGamingNS. We currently do not have a custom logo. We're still trying to reach that 100 subscriber threshold, so go ahead and subscribe to YouTube. We do have other content that we post there as well. Boogie does the weekly gaming news 10 and 10, which is a 10-minute or less snippet into the stories that we will be talking about during the full podcast. So if you are in a rush, you don't have an entire hour and a half to listen to the podcast or watch live, you can always catch yourself up with the weekly gaming news 10 and 10. It's actually a very, very well done series, and this is what, the 24th or 23rd?
Yep, 24th.
Yeah, so yeah, the 24th went up a couple of days ago, so you can catch those usually on Friday. Do you upload those on Fridays?
I upload them on Saturday about noon. I record them Friday nights. They go up Saturday around noon. So if there's news between the time I record it and Sunday, we'll pick that news up and add it in. But it's usually Sunday to Saturday, Sunday to Friday, I should say.
Right. So yeah, so the gaming news 10 and 10 go up on Saturday. We go live on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then the podcast episodes go up on the podcasting apps as well as on YouTube on noon that following Monday.
Yep.
So that is our current schedule. And speaking of podcasting apps, Boogie, why don't you let them know exactly where they can listen to us if they want to take us on the go?
Yep. So we are in the general podcasting directory, so you can get our audio podcasts on any of your podcatchers. If you're using like Overcast or Cast or even just iTunes, you can get us there. We're listed in iTunes, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. Go there, subscribe, download, comment, rate, all those other good things you're able to.
All the good things.
Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, let us know how we're doing, and leave us feedback and leave suggestions. We have a couple of things that we're looking into down the pipeline. We are prepping for a proper season 2 of a weekly gaming news show, which is going to bring some different segments into the show. And we would love your feedback. If there's anything that you think that we should do or change, or if you just love the way we're doing it and want to see it, is everything the same, just let us know. We would love to take your feedback into consideration. You can also submit stories to us, and as well as weekly icebreaker questions. Just hit us up on our social media and let us know what you think, and let's get the discussion started, because it's not just us reporting the news. We don't pride ourselves in being the #1 source for gaming news. No, that's not us. We are seasoned video gamers that just talk about the gaming news, and we would love to discuss this stuff with you guys as well. So hit us up and let us know what you think, and debate us on these topics. We would love to go back and forth with you guys. It would be super awesome, and would actually like fill out my day. Like I could just get on the internet and just argue with people. That'd be cool. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and bounce up out of here. This was episode 65. Look out for season 2, and I'm Trenell.
I'm Todd.
and we will catch you guys
next
week. Peace.